Well, welcome. It's Black History Conversations, and it's the 5th of December for most people who are on the screen here, but I'm Liz Millman from Learning Links International, and I'm in Australia, and it's already Saturday the 6th of December here. But anyway, we won't worry about that. We're in season 16 of Black History Conversations, and usually when I'm hosting the session, because I'm in Australia, I pay respects and acknowledge the people from here, the Wurundjeri Nation, as a respectful start. But I'll not go into too much detail about that at this moment in time because we want to welcome a guest. Ria Price hasn't joined us on Black History Conversations before, and she's going to tell us about the research study that she's doing, which I've had a little chance to find out a bit about, and it sounds fascinating. We've also with us, just going around the screen in the order that I can see it, we've got Garrick Prayog, who's chair of the North Wales Jamaica Society, director of Learning Links International, one of the directors, and also does a whole lot more work with the Caribbean communities and wider communities, particularly related to Windrush. And we haven't talked about that much lately, Garrick, but I know you're working very hard on that. We've also got Dr. Vivian Crawford. Now, Dr. Vivian Crawford's going to lead the session next week because he's now started doing some podcasts for a South African group. So he's going to share one of the podcasts with us so that we know what he's doing in order to extend understanding of Black history. Jackie Pennant's joined us as well, and Jackie's been a real stalwart in our work to build bridges of friendship between North Wales and Jamaica. And considering she lives in Florida, that might sound a bit of a surprise, but Jackie, we really appreciate what you've been able to do and what you've been able to bring to this whole project that we're involved in. And Simon Faringo is with us. He's another director of Learning Links International, but he's just having his lunch at the moment, so he'll perhaps be joining us later. But Simon deals with all the technical side of recording and posting the things as well. So, right, well, now, great, Ria, we want to know more about what it is you're doing in West Wales. And I think if you start from the beginning and talk reasonably slowly, and if there's things that we want to pick up on that we're not understanding, because we haven't got anybody on the screen who is an academic historian. We're all community researchers, so we haven't got the academic background that you will have with what you're studying at Cardiff University. So I'm going to pass over to you, Ria, to tell us what you're doing. And then when I don't understand anything or Garrick doesn't understand or anybody, then we'll ask questions as you go along. Is that all right? Because it's a
Yeah, just
conversation.
jump in at any time.
Wonderful. Right, off you go then. So what is it that you're doing at in your studies?
So I'm in my last year of I'm studying social science, so it's just my undergraduate degree. I haven't got a master's yet, if I do one. But yeah, social science, it's study of inequality, society, policy, politics, governments. It's like a very interdisciplinary course, which is why I picked it because I want to get like a well-rounded view of the world, I guess. But I originally got interested in doing my dissertation on walking methodologies because I walked the Camino de Santiago in 2024. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
Go slowly here then. So you walked the,
Camino de Santiago.
does everybody know what that is? Jackie, do you know what it is?
Think it's something in Spain where you follow the
Yes, that's
steps
right.
of. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's basically a pilgrimage. I'm not religious myself, but like I just wanted to do something challenging. But when I was there, I just got like such a unique experience of like yeah, history and culture that I didn't really think that I would get out of it, and that's what like piqued my interest into using walking methods in my studies.
So you use walking methods, and that's why you've also contacted our colleague Marcia, who's not been able to
Yeah,
join us so far, because she's from Black History Walks,
yeah,
and she looks at Black history from a walking point of view, actually looking at things that resonate and are able to tell the stories. So tell us, where is this walk that you're focusing on?
It's in Pembrokeshire in West Wales. It's a historical ethnography. Ethnography is also a research method. And I'm just doing a walk-in one. And I love ethnography because you get to immerse yourself in the environment that you're studying over a long period of time. But ethnography actually has quite a dirty history attached to colonization. I don't know if any of you know, but it was one of the tools that people under the Imperial Empire, they would send people into countries to go to live there and find out like about the environment and find out about the people who live there and report back. So it does have a really dirty history. So and in a lot of like indigenous communities, ethnography and research it has quite a dirty stigma attached to it.
Right,
Because
let's go back about this because this is something that I've not heard of before. So this ethnography, and you're saying it has quite a dirty history
yeah,
in that it's maybe looks at the time when Britain and other European countries were much into colonialization and marauding around the world, um, moving into
yeah,
other people's countries and all of that. So you're looking at walking and eth ethno ethnogra
ethnography.
ethnography.
Yeah.
I have another colleague um, whose work is about historiography. So
Okay.
I'm interested to understand the difference between ethnography and his historiography.
Can I ask you what that is?
Historiography, sadly, uh, Professor, oh, come on, Gary, you're going to have to help me out here. Um, our colleague in Jamaica, who we did the Windrush training with,
Yeah,
um, Hilary Hickling. So
yeah.
it's Professor Fred Hickling was
Fred
her husband.
Hickling was a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Did a lot of work in the UK, studied at Birmingham University.
Yes, and worked in Birmingham as well,
Mm.
in social work, and did some incredible work with the creative arts, to do with helping people come to terms with their history. And so he calls his approach um, psycho, I think it's got psycho at the beginning, but historiography. I think it's psychohistoriography is
Okay,
the
amazing. Sounds so interesting.
So you need to look up that because we can help you with that. So with your ethnography, um, this is looking at some of the stories of the history of an area where you're walking,
Yeah,
and you describe
exactly.
it as a dirty history.
Well,
Um,
well, ethnography has a dirty history. I'm not necessarily implying that.
oh,
Like I'm looking at like all different kinds of history in that area, and just one of the areas that I'm looking into is the colonial history in West Wales. But the
okay.
ethnography, the research method, has a dirty history attached to it because it can be really extractive because you literally you like immerse yourself into a community, and that was used to do a lot of harm like previously. Um,
Oh, okay, yes.
Basically. But I'm just looking into like the history that embedded in the peninsula of the Pembrokeshire Coastal Belt using the
Okay.
research method of ethnography because there's ways that you can do it now that are ethical. But in the past, it's done so much harm, and it still can do harm if you use the research method in the wrong way. But yeah, I'm
Oh, it's like these people you hear of who've gone and lived with an African tribe in a village for a length of time, and
yeah.
maybe that's altered things for that
Yeah,
community.
and like how
But
they
I
portray
understand
and how
that.
they like portray people as well. Yeah, it's had like many bad instances in the past.
Right, that's really, really interesting. Thank you very much indeed for sharing that with me. And now I'm going to use the same map as I've just used previously with Jackie, work it out where she lives. And
Nice.
we're going to have a look at that because I'm now going across the Atlantic Ocean backwards. Right, let's get back up to
Yeah,
Wales. Right, here we are then. So yes, you're down right in this
yeah.
south
So
bit.
if you can you see where it says cardigan?
Cardigan,
Uh, uh,
cardigan.
you just
Yes,
yeah.
cardigan is here. Yeah,
If you just zoom in a little bit there.
yeah.
Yeah, I basically walked from Cardigan along the coastline, and then to Molly Grove on day
South.
one.
Did you walk south or north?
South, yeah. So you can see Cardigan and then like across to the coastline to Poppet Sands Beach and then down towards Molly Grove. And then I basically I think I was there for about 11 days. I was planning on going for much longer at the start, but the weather was just absolutely awful, so I just didn't spend as much time there as I planned on. But if
How
you just keep
how how far did you get?
St. David's.
So we're still going, are we?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, just
So
down to there.
right down to here.
Yeah, because my original plan was to um look at the
Where's
whole of the
David?
Peninsula.
I can't see.
St.
Oh,
David, like it's just it's right on the tip basically. If you look at Ramsey Island and then you just go left, like your mouse is right on top of it basically. It's like right
oh
there.
right. Okay.
Can you see it there? St. David's.
St. David's Bunk Barns we've got.
Yeah,
So yes.
just
So
St. David's there.
this area here.
Yeah, that was
Right.
my final destination.
Yeah. So that people know on a large scale map of Wales, all right. So we've got this bit of Wales sticking out here, Pembrokeshire. So you came all the way down this coast here. So
Yeah,
that's quite so it's the most northwesterly facing part of this coast of Wales. So
yeah.
that's really interesting. Okay, thank you very much for allowing me that. Now, does anybody else want to ask anything to make sure that we understand what it is Ria's talking about? No, we're okay. Right, off you go again then, Ria.
Um, Yeah, so I wasn't originally sure what I was gonna explore because part of ethnography is that it's got like an emergent quality. So until you actually go and experience the field site, you don't know what is gonna come up. And I originally thought I was gonna do a lot of my research was gonna be about pilgrimages and like secularism because obviously there's churches dotted all across Wales and the UK in general. And there is a pilgrimage that runs along the coastal path as well. But when I got there, actually, I just decided to do it much more on the history that's embedded within the landscape and um, Welsh culture and language. And like, I've got quite a big paradox in my dissertation because um, I'm talking about like protecting the cultural continuity of like rural agrarian communities. But at the same time, while I'm like using mobile methods, I'm like arguing for a world without borders, and I'm kind of like critiquing the idea of nationhood, about how like places aren't like these fixed spaces that people insert themselves into. It's people themselves that make up spaces, and like we live in an increasingly globalized world. Where mobility is just a part of everyday life, and there's a massive like migratory history into Wales. It's always happened. And like I came across this beautiful exhibition when I was there actually that like started off this thread of like migration in my dissertation. And it was basically produced by Welsh government in 2020, I think, and it was like to promote anti-racism in rural areas of Wales. And it was basically a bunch of children. They drew the first people um, to come to Wales after the Ice Age, and they're known as I bobl ifanc du, which in Wales is like people with dark skin. And it's like basically it's trying to reduce these racist attitudes by showing the first people to come to the UK, to come to Wales, the original settlers, they had dark skin. They were the Iberians. They migrated from, I think, Africa to Spain and then to Wales. And there's so much different migratory history embedded into the landscape. You have like there's like 4,000-year-old Iron Age forts from Celtic periods. There's
Okay,
Roman.
just stop a minute again, if you don't mind. This is so fascinating because I'm coming from a point of view, and I expect the others who have joined us today, of not knowing anything about this. We know that you're going to you walked on this coastal pathway, and that you're looking at the history of this, and you've already gone right back to the first people in Wales who,
Yeah,
interestingly enough, you're saying were dark-skinned people who would have come from from I Africa through Iberia and which is on the west coast of Spain and through France, through Brittany, and then managed to get to Wales. So that's new Black history to me. Did you know about that, Garrick?
Uh, it makes sense when you think about from the Roman times came into Britain, and the mixture of those army and soldiers, etc. Among those were African commanders and soldiers. It makes sense that that history is there, but don't really talk about.
So that's interesting because you've leapt away way ahead, Garrick, because what Ria's then saying is about Iron Age and carry on, Ria, where
Yeah,
you're at.
that's even earlier, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because yeah, so it's with ethnography, you can only talk about in the dissertation the things that you actually find out, like in the places that you actually visited. So it has to be things that I actually saw. But they have like Celtic forts. They have even in like the names of the places, like Fishguard. It sounds like the Welsh translation for it, I think is Abergwaun, and that means like mouth of the river. So it's not the same thing. But if you think about the word Fishguard, it actually sounds a lot like Feesgard, which is actually Nordic, and that's like history that's it's a representation of when there was like Viking influences in Wales. And they also have the Landskier line in Pembrokeshire as well, which is a line of castles when Normans came to Pembrokeshire. So Welsh people actually got pushed to the more hilly northern part of the peninsula, which is the part that I walked on. And there's actually I've got the book here actually, because there's like this idea, and it's like in academic literature as well, that Pembrokeshire is known as a little Wales beyond England. Oh no, sorry, a little England beyond Wales.
Yeah.
But actually, what I found out when I was there is that's actually more popularly referred to as the southern part rather than the northern part, and it's because of that history of like a pushing up of peoples. But I was absolutely flabbergasted by like the bilinguality of West Wales, and like how like strong that I felt the Welsh culture was there, like how quite connected to I felt of it, because I never really been before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. Um, but a
Tell us
little bit.
about the book. Tell us about the book that you ju just referred to. Have you got
It's
it there?
by
Yeah.
it's it's
Wave it
by
in.
Edward Law, I think. Let me have a look. Yeah, Edward Law. It's an antiquarian book actually. I picked it up when I was there. The guy in the bookshop was like, "Sell it to
Show,
me." I still
show
haven't
us,
read it
show
yet.
us the front of it then. Show us the front of it. All
It's
right.
The History of a Little England Beyond
History
Wales, it's
beyond
called.
Wales.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fascinating.
And it's yeah,
History
it's like
beyond Wales.
there's like quite a lot of stigmatizations, I guess, on Pembrokeshire. They've got like quite a unique development of language because there was a lot of like migration into that part of Wales compared to other parts. I need to double check on my history of this, but I think it was I don't know if it was in 1066 or if it was a different time. Um, but yeah, but there is quite a stereotype that Pembrokeshire's not really Welsh, and I was like so joyed when like those like ideas of exclusion, they just harm people. like a gatekeeping of Welshness and things like that. That's like kind of what I'm arguing against in my dissertation because places, original. A lot of the time, I don't know if you ever heard of any of Ingold's work. He's an ethnographer, but he basically talks about discourse on like the original inheritance of place. And it's, oh, how can I word this? So there's basically like a lot of like biological essentialist discourse where people say, oh, because of this blood and these genes that I have, like maybe I have indigenous status. But like a lot of researchers argue that that doesn't really make any sense because how many colonists would you have in your history to be considered indigenous? And he basically talks about how indigenous
How many what?
colonists, like how many colonists would you have to have in your heritage to
What's the word that you're using? Coolness, I don't know it.
colonists?
Colonists. Oh, how
Colonists, yeah, like
right.
colonizers. Like how many
Yeah.
people who are not indigenous would you have in your history to still be considered indigenous? Like it just kind of shows the absurdity of the question because he basically goes on to argue about how being indigenous is not based on not necessarily based on your genetics, but it's more based on to the relationship that you have with the environment, basically. And the same as places, like places, environments, and identity, they're all created with lived experience rather than something that's just passed on through time because, places people don't get in kind of what I was saying earlier, people don't get inserted to pre-existing places. People make up places with their everyday actions. So basically going back to ethnography, what I'm exploring is the everyday actions and like environment of the Pembrokeshire Coastal Path. But I ended up contacting Black Heritage Walks because so I was trying to I noticed some like nods to colonial history when I was there. Like I saw a lot of advertisements for Picton Castle. I didn't go there because that's in the southern part. I didn't get that far, so it's not something that I can like talk about too much in my dissertation. But I saw all these leaflets going, oh, family day out, visit Picton's Castle and stuff like that. And there's just absolutely no mention of any of the colonial history attached to him, which I found a bit like disconcerting, and it got me thinking about how along the coast all of the towns, they're port towns, and they used to be like major hubs of trade, like in war times, in pre-war times. I was like reading this book that got me thinking about waterways and how like obviously I was traveling by foot, but it got me thinking about, oh, back in the day, like there was probably so much travel by sea, and these towns were probably like major hubs of transport and trade. And it just got me thinking about what it would look like in colonial and maritime history, but I just couldn't really find any links online. Oh, I couldn't find any literature online that related to what the era of colonialism looked like in West Wales. So then I reached out to Marcia then, and she told me about the Welsh Plides that you mentioned earlier. And it is hard because it has the things that I do that I talk about, they have to be situated in the places that I visit. So unless I can find like a direct link, I can't necessarily use it. Um, but like yeah, so I'm just interested in finding more about the colonial history that would have or what
Okay,
West
that's
Wales would have
really,
looked
really
like.
fascinating that what you're saying. Now, the project that we did initially was about a cloth that was produced in mid Wales called Welsh Plains. And I referred to Lisa Gabbett's research work in the southern states because they actually tried to replicate producing this particular strength of woolen fabric, this particular woolen fabric. So that was what her work was about. But it was very specifically produced the for the slave traders in Liverpool. So it was transported up to Liverpool, this cloth called Welsh Plains. And so we know in places like Dolgellau and Aberystwyth, not Aberystwyth, Barmouth, that um, there was there were warehouses where the cloth was also shipped out as opposed to transported by pack horses. So that story is not at all relevant to you where you were in South Wales, but something that might have resonance with what you're saying is the building of slave ships. Now,
Oh, okay.
I know that one was produced in Dolgellau, and Dolgellau, not, was it Dolgellau? Come back to me on that in a minute. But a slave, no, it's sorry, it was Pwllheli where this slave ship was built. And at the time of the colonial expansion and the slave trade, there were people who were walking and traveling in Wales who were recording the history of what was going on at the time. And it's interesting because it almost sounds like what you're talking about. And we've got a book by Aiken. It's in our collection in Llandudno, Garrick. And his story told about seeing the cloth produced. Right, so somebody else who was called Pennant, but he wasn't part of the Pennant family that were the family that developed Penrhyn Castle and had the plantations in Jamaica. But I think he was called Thomas Pennant, and
I feel like
he
I've heard that name potentially.
yeah, and he walked a lot and travelled a lot around Wales, and he talks about this slave ship being built in Pwllheli, and down to
Okay.
the point that the actual number it was being fitted out for a certain number of individual enslaved cargo. So that then makes me think. Where else around the coast of Wales might there have been
A
this
link.
shipbuilding?
Okay.
Because presumably, if you wanted a ship um, to use as part of your trade activities with West Africa and across the Atlantic, then you would have commissioned a ship. So I think they'd
Yeah.
have several people.
But
So
because I sorry to jump in because I think
I'm
historically like I know that Ireland like it's one of the most deforested countries in the world or in the UK or something like that. I can't remember, I don't know what the actual official term is or whatever. But it's because that under like imperial rule by Britain, um it, all of its wood was used for like production of different things and like I don't know if maybe like you've just got me thinking about how there may be some link between because in Fishguard where I went that's where the ferry to Ireland still runs today.
Oh, yes, of course,
So
of course.
yeah, it just made me think about if I don't maybe if lumber was like transported through West Wales like in like the production of ships across different parts of the UK. It just got me thinking about that because yeah, Ireland's wood has like been harvested more than any other place in the UK.
That's really interesting. That's something that I had never heard of before. And also mahogany, which isn't a British wood. We don't have mahogany trees in Britain. Um, it was all that came from the Caribbean. Not sure if it came from Africa, but it certainly came from the Caribbean. And when you think about places like uh, up by Kendal. Forgive me, it's now half
No,
past
no.
12.
Bless you.
Um,
Like you're such a star for
so
being here. Thank
I'm
you.
trying to pull all these names back. Lancaster had a roaring trade in production of wooden furniture, Chippendale, and a lot, and all that mahogany furniture. It was only possible because the timber was brought on the return journeys of the ships that were sailing on the transatlantic triangle. So it's perfectly reasonable, and it's really, really important, I think. What you're doing is you're
Oh, thank
looking at
you.
what were the Welsh coastal towns doing
Yeah.
as because they would have been part of the Bristol hinterland, if you like the
Is that not the other? Because I'm not too sure about the definitions of what places are hinterland. I only
well,
first heard the term from Marcia.
yeah. If I can
Because
just explain, because Garrick's, I know you've got to go at 2 o'clock, Garrick, and that's in about 10 minutes. But when you talk about Liverpool and how these slave ships um, got all the things that they needed to sail out to be equipped. So they had to have all the food for the journey to Africa. They would have to have all the ammunition that would need. They would have to have all the trade goods that they would need. And the area around Liverpool, which is referred to as Liverpool's hinterland in this context, would have been Lancashire, Cheshire, and also North Wales. So North Wales was part of the hinterland
yeah,
supplying the slave trade vessels from Liverpool because the transatlantic triangular trade ships would have started from different ports in Britain, the main three being London, the first, Bristol, the second developed, um, Liverpool, the third developed, and then Lancaster also developed as a slave trade port because it was easy to get round the north of Ireland to avoid troubles to do with the French and different things that were going on if you went south. So your area being the southwest of Wales is
yeah.
really interesting to see. Now, I've got a book which I can't put my hand on at the moment, but I don't know if I've got it here.
In fact, Liz, you're quite right with the interlands. Cheshire, for example, um, still as it is, Cheshire salt mine were the only place they could get salt to actually preserve the food for the transatlantic journeys. Um, and Lancashire and the rest of Cheshire, a lot of the food that is known to be salted food, whether that would be salted beef, salted cod, etc. All that salt came from Cheshire, Winsford area, and it's still the case now. They're still producing salt, not for the same purpose, but that's the largest salt mine in the country.
And interestingly, my relatives, have I told you this, Garrick? My
You did,
relatives
yes, yes, yes,
were big in the salt trade, heaven forbid.
yeah.
This is the book I was looking for. Unfortunately, I have it here in Australia with me, and it's called,
I'm just going to take a picture of that quickly.
Yeah. Welsh
it's
ships,
called, it's called
say, yeah,
Welsh Ships,
and sailing men.
Sailing Men, and it's by Geraint Jenkins. Now,
Interestingly,
Geraint
sorry.
Jenkins, sorry, Jackie.
No, I was just responding to Garrick,
Mm,
because we did a canal boat trip through Cheshire, well, Lancashire,
mm,
that area. And
yeah.
interestingly, we were looking up I was looking up why do all these towns have the ending witch, like North
Yes.
Witch, Middle Witch, and it means salt house, on the end of it.
Yes.
So it's just
Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah, absolutely. Mm.
It's a remarkable and fascinating history and present um, history. This Geraint Jenkins, who wrote this book, was I think he was the lead at the Welsh National Museum, I think. I can't think what his title was. Might say in the book anyway. So he was very well respected. He was curator at the Welsh Industrial and Maritime Museum. So he's written a lot about maritime history, but he also did a lot about Welsh wool. And his book on Welsh wool was the most informative book on the subject. Now this book, Welsh Ships and Sailing Men, takes you all the way around the Welsh coast. So you need to get a copy of it because I'm trying to see now if I can find your bit of the coast in the book because it's in this book that it tells about this um the slave ship that was built at Pwllheli.
Oh, that is
So
such a good recommendation. Thank you.
yeah, so get hold of this book. Um This is fascinating what you're doing. Right, okay, tell me then. We've got um, Pembrokeshire, Saundersfoot, Tenby, Milford Haven, Haverfordwest, Pembroke and Pembroke Docks, St Brides and Solva, Porthgain and Abermawr, Fishguard and Newport. Are
Oh,
any of,
wow.
are any of
Yeah,
those your places?
yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right, okay, page 186. That's the Fishguard bit, 186.
It's so hard
The
to like
problem
find.
with it is that he doesn't, apparently, one of the academic issues is that he doesn't reference his work very well, so
Oh,
you
okay.
can't follow anything up. Right,
Yeah.
Fishguard. Do you want me
My
to read?
apology. I've got to go off now. But Liz, the money has gone off to Jamaica, so that's done.
Oh, thank
Okay. All right.
you.
So lovely to meet you.
And you. I'm in Bangor tomorrow, so I'll catch up then, Liz. Yeah.
Yes, all right.
All
Phone
right.
me
See you
when
then.
you're
Yeah.
Bye.
there. Okay,
Bye-bye.
brilliant. Thanks, Garrick. Thank you. Right, okay. So I'm just reading out of the book, and my Welsh pronunciation isn't brilliant. So this is Fishguard. Is that the best one to talk about, or
Yeah,
Porthgain,
yeah.
Abermawr?
Fishguard and Newport over two. They're good for me. So Fishguard, you can start with that if you want to.
So between St David's and Fishguard, this is Porthgain and Abermawr. Between St David's and Fishguard lie a number of small coastal villages, each with a long history as a centre of seamanship. This is the area featured in the work of poets such as, I can't pronounce this at all, Cruis and Dewi Emrys, and their evocative lines to Melyn, Trefyn, and Pwllheli, respectively.
Oh, I
It's
went
a
to those places.
it's a remote and romantic area, imbued in many places with a strong sense of magic. The railway never reached this part of the country, and thus the industrial developments over the year, in particular in stone quarrying in Aberedi and Porthgain, has to depend exclusively on maritime transport. In the era of railway fever during the latter half of the 19th century, Brunel and the railway authorities came up with ambitious plans to build a port at Abermawr to transform the little hamlet of Abercastell into a transatlantic port on the same stature of Southampton and Liverpool. I've heard about that before.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
in 1850s, North Wales had its own major port in Holyhead and a daily ferry service to Ireland, but South Wales did not. And in 1851, the lonely spot of Abermawr became a hive of activity, with numerous workers preparing for a harbour and a wide gauge railway, which would lead to Abermawr. However, despite money already spent, Brunel decided to abandon the site and built the railway and ferry port on the banks of the Afon Cleddau at Neyland. Right, so I've read one page, then there's another page which talks about quarries and narrow gauge railways and slate and crushed stone and brickworks and do you want me to photocopy these pages and send them to you?
Oh, yeah, yes, please, if you could. I
It's,
can,
uh,
I'll,
it's only a tiny bit, but it would be worth getting hold of the book.
yeah,
It's one of those
I might be able to
books
access
you
it.
see, you see, and then there's a page on Fishguard because there isn't much, but he summarizes some quite interesting points in here. Yes,
Yeah,
it's Fishguard, it refers back to earliest history to Viking times, and so yeah, that's there. So this will be helpful to you. I just need to be sure that I'm photocopying the right pages. There's quite a bit on Fishguard, about 5 pages, and then it gets on to Newport. So that's past where you were, isn't it?
oh, I can get the book in my uni library. I've just had a look online.
Oh right. Oh good,
Yeah.
good, good, good.
Oh, thank you
So
so much for that recommendation.
perfect because it's really it's not it's not written as an academic text. It's written as it takes you around Wales and you just
Mm,
find out it's a little bit like your walk really. A bit with the history of it of the different areas. Gosh, well that's fantastic. So wait a minute, we've now come across something interesting in Newport. The main vessels built in Newport were turn over the page, and there's a whole list. Now, I'm not saying that all those ships there listed were taking part in the slave trade, but
it's highly
think
likely.
no, it's a bit early, really. But
Oh,
certainly, one of them's 1785. Was another one 1777. So anything, I'm not good on the types of ships, the schooners and the sloops, and yeah, interesting. So it'll be interesting to read it properly and then if there is any referencing out of this, then that'd be good. And then it goes on to Cardigan Bay and probably interesting to, read around both ends as it's not much of it not much volume of information in the
yeah.
book. Oh, right. Well, that was interesting and that's remarkable that I just had that to
Well,
hand.
right by you as well.
Yeah.
What are the chances?
Okay, so I'm just going to ask Vivian and Jackie. Vivian, have you been following this conversation and what it is that
Well,
Ria's doing?
any story about Wales evokes my curiosity about our Jamaican connection, and
Pull your screen down, will you, Vivian?
it still remains to me a mystery why this putting under the carpet so much about our heritage. Because in the Welsh connection with Sir Henry Morgan, it's and more recently on a very very happy note, Bishop Vaughan, Benjamin Vaughan,
Yeah.
whose last post was Bangor Cathedral, and he was very very instrumental in the establishment of Church's Teachers College, the only teachers college owned by the Anglican Church. So
I wonder
Wales,
if there's any sort of connection, Vivian, between St. David's
oh,
and
that's it. That's it. Yalas. It is said
right,
that
okay. So
the
we've straight
whale,
away got a link
yes,
there.
and the church is still there.
There is a
Yeah, the cathedral, it's
there
gets
was
like
a parish in Jamaica. There was a parish in Jamaica called
Yes,
St. David's.
yes, but in
really.
oh yes, St. David's, it's in Yalas, but that was merged in 1867 with the parish of St. Thomas. And
Oh,
so when you go to the parish of St. Thomas, a place called Yalas, you're going east, and there you will see St. David's Church with its long history of all its ministers of religion, the ministers there from the 18th century, early 18th century.
wow. Because St. David's the patron saint of Wales as well.
Oh, yeah, but the Jamaican connection, Henry Morgan was the lieutenant governor of Jamaica, And again, all those things seem to be under the carpet. I never know why. And I always tease people to say, John Bradshaw, the Lord Chief Justice of England, who tried King Charles I and sentenced him for his execution. His remains are not in Westminster Abbey. He was buried in Westminster Abbey, but he was exhumed by his son, who took the remains to Jamaica at a place in
Wow.
Falmouth. Yes. Yes, so he's buried in Falmouth. Yeah,
I'm just
Jamaica. So I'm saying that there comes a time when we have to get everything from under the carpet.
Yeah.
Because we were not there when it happened. We were not there when it happened. And to have them under the carpet means that we are part of what took place. We were not there.
all right. That's so helpful, Vivian. This is so you understand what I'm looking at now, where my thoughts are going
Oh,
now.
yes, you are in, I'm
Here,
in
here
Kingston.
we've got Jamaica, Vivian's in Kingston, and this area here was where the Pennant family had their plantations. But this is the area down here, Yallis,
Jealous. And
is
the
where
bond,
St. David's
yeah.
was. And what I was wondering was whether there were any names which were similar or to the names that you're talking about in your southwest Wales bit, just by chance. And I'm
Mm.
afraid I can't see anything immediately springing to mind, but I just have to say up here, Vivian, Hagley Gap, you know, Hagley
Yeah,
Park
and
Road.
Agnes in St. Thomas. But we have a host of names, as you know, Liz, in Jamaica. Banga Ridge in Portland, Chepstow in Portland, Newport, Manchester, Wales, Manchester. And that was
Wow.
by Edward Morgan. Oh my heavens, we're all over the place. Yighton
And
side,
look here, we've
Whiten
got
side in Portland.
so we've got Hagley Gap. I was brought up in the village next to a place called Hagley, which has got the historical
Yes,
link in the West Midlands. But up here we've got
Hagley
Penline
Gap in St.
Castle.
Thomas, Penline Castle. That's near to the Blue Mountain Peak, the highest
And
peak in
see,
Jamaica.
we've often wondered whether Penline and Penryn are so close that it could be that this Penline Castle has some sort of link with Penryn Castle. Not sure on that.
It
Anyway, back
even it even sounds like a Welsh word. Shall I Google
Penline.
it?
It
I have
does. Yes.
I have a feeling it's a Welsh name, but we find that in spelling and in pronunciation sometimes that words have a way, but Penryn, Penline, it is easier to say Penline than Penryn. And I've
Mm.
Yeah.
said on this program before that there's a place in Jamaica, in
Oh,
Kingston, called Red Gal Ring. Red Gal Ring.
Oh, okay.
You would say Red Girl Ring, Jackie, but Red Gal, a girl gal. But Red Gal Ring was never Red Gal Ring. It was Red Gathering. That's where the red coats met on a Friday night to
Oh.
have their drink. But let me shock you. If you say Red Gathering 9 times, if you say Red Gathering 9 times
yeah.
as quickly as you can, you will end up getting Red Gathering. Red Gathering, Red Gathering, Red Gathering, Red Gathering, Red Gathering. Because, and then,
Vivian,
and
we've got here Llandewey. Now,
oh,
is Llandewey
Landui, yes.
is
That's literally means St. David's Church.
Oh, yes, St. Thomas. That's in St.
really?
Thomas. And then the
So
famous
in
family
Jamaica, there is a place called Llandewey.
and
So we
Judgment Cliff. Oh my
could
God,
try
look
and
at
work
Judgment
out
Cliff.
the link there. Um,
And you see Judgment Cliff. There was a
Wow.
man a Judgment Cliff is so called because in the 1692 earthquake, a piece of the land from the mountainside fell onto a village and destroyed them. And they said it was God's judgment on a man there from the Netherlands who had interactions with his own children, oh God. And they said it was the judgment of the Lord on him. Hence the name Judgment Cliff. It is still there, a piece of the mountain.
Yeah. So I'm looking
Only
a
you
bit.
have a lovely map here, man.
It's a Google map.
It's a Google.
Google
I have
map.
to be
Yeah.
careful. When I'm eating my mangoes, I'll have to hide from Google.
Yes, you will. Yes. I can't see any other Welsh names so far. Here we are at Dallas, but what's interesting is that Yalis has got two L's, you see, which is very significant in Welsh because of it's a sound in the Welsh language is two L's. Yes, class. Yes.
Oh, sorry, Lidge. Sorry. Just where you see Yalas is, look straight up, you'll see Orange Park, Great House.
Yeah.
Yes, that has a very, very large collection of Barry Watson's paintings. And he donated that. Barry Watson's work is in England. Yes, it is his work is at Oxford University, Jesus College, because he did the painting of Norman Manley.
Oh.
What's that, sorry?
His work is at Jesus College, Oxford. Yeah. Orange Park.
It's called pamphlet. That's not Welsh.
Yeah. Well, the Welsh, they're really Portland, St. Thomas, Manchester, Clarendon. Those were their hideouts.
Right. Riyadh, there is a book about Jamaican place names. I think it's just called Jamaican place names.
Oh, yes. Written by a lady named Nib, Knibb.
Oh, Knibb. And that book,
sorry, was it K?
Nibb.
And her father was a Baptist minister, William Nib.
Place names. Oh, stunning, thank you.
And
look at Stony Gut, Spring Garden, oh my God. St. Thomas, Morant Bay, Churchman's Corner.
Is this all?
Oh, stop. Sorry. I'm getting so excited. Look at White Horses. Right there, you see it? On the south coast, White Horses. Yeah. Now, we speak about that was Alex Renton. You remember the presentation about the 76 enslaved Africans who used scrap iron into wrought iron, and that was used for the Industrial Revolution in Britain. And this man caught. Yes, he took it on.
That's another story we need to look at.
It's exciting seeing these places.
Yes,
the
that's
patent,
good.
he took on the patent for it.
Can I just ask you, Vivian, is this all still where St. David would have been?
Yes, St. David's is at Yalas. St. David's is Yalas. St. David's is Yalas.
Yeah. What about Seaforth?
Oh, yes, Seaforth. Yes, I know of Seaforth. Yes, that's on the east there. Look at these. This I have to. You go. What did you Google, Liz?
You just Google
Jamaica.
No, you just Google Maps.
And it'll give you a world map then.
And it gives you a world map, and then you just find where you want. And then what I'm doing is I'm moving it, making it bigger with my fingers on the keyboard.
These places are so my memories of all these place names and having to do with them.
Watch this, Vivian. It goes down to so you can see fields and trees and you can see roads and
You can
houses.
you can
And
drop yourself in as well if you click the
and,
little
and Paul
human.
Bogle, you just passed St. Thomas, where Paul Bogle, he was the cause for the Morant Bay Uprising 1865 in St. Thomas. And it is
What
and
are you
it,
saying you can do, Ria? Because
Sorry?
it's something that says layers, so you can do all kinds of other things with it. It's really worth fiddling around with. Uh, it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And what will be really interesting, uh, uh, and poignant is that when the hurricane was coming along here, when we were over there, Ria, the hurricane came from this end
Oh,
and
okay.
came along here, as you know, you can see it as a whirly thing coming
Mm.
along. And then it hit here at White House, didn't it? And then it went across the island and came out. Did it come out at Falmouth? So all this end of the country here, which is all beautiful and green here when the satellite took this imagery, is now all brown because the hurricane wind speeds were so great that it blew all the
Wow.
trees
Really?
and devastated this end of the island. I mean the devastation is awful and this where's where's what's it called? Black River. This is where it hit, Black River.
Black
All
River, the parish
the
capital,
Black River.
St.
This
Elizabeth.
Yeah, this was just completely devastated, wasn't it? And so what they'll be able to do now is that they'll be able to show, I can't see where the church is. You can
No, the
see things.
church is not, you can't see the church. It's destroyed completely.
Well, it is
Wow.
now, but this is the old film. This is the old version. This will be a few months old
Okay,
when
okay.
they they every now and again I think they renew it, don't
And
they?
and
Yeah.
and while you're on that, you should know that Black River, you'll have heard of the Zong massacre, where the enslaved Africans, where some of them 123 were thrown overboard, and the remainder landed at Black River in St. Elizabeth, the Zong massacre. And when I worked at the Institute of Jamaica, I initiated a monument, an obelisk is placed at the very spot there
All
in
right.
where the Black River flows into the sea. So right
Wow.
in Black River, near the church there, you will see, when you visit
Yeah.
Jamaica, you will see the monument to the
Who sings that
enslaved
song?
Africans. Sorry?
Who sings that song?
It's not a song. It's called the
Ah, I thought you said there was a song.
Zong. Zong. Zong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I can't see. We got off track again, but see, this is another river, another area where there's lots of crocodiles, like in Florida. Black.
But these,
But you see here where I was focusing down on these buildings. Well, I've seen some zone footage. What are they called? Not zones. Um, the film footage of this Black River fire station, and it's completely demolished. All the roofs off it. But anyway,
yes,
right, okay. So now you've got a bit of a feel of the fact that your area of South Wales may well have links with Jamaica, and it would be this end of Jamaica, St. David's, Yallus, that the links might be that you might come across um, as you further research. Is this helpful to you, Ria?
Oh, that book is such a good recommendation, honestly. And like, finding that they've got a castle, a church there called St. David's Castle in Welsh as well. Like, that's that's such an important link, and just it's all really interesting to know anyway. So yeah, that's really helpful actually.
And I'm sure there's more that you can discover as well. So if you can get hold of this book, Jamaican Place Names, it very specifically breaks it down into place names after English places, Welsh places, and Scottish places. And then it also breaks it down for things like if it's a name related to a family or some other
Yeah.
category. Excuse me, yawning
Yeah,
away
you're
here.
making me yawn.
Anyway,
Just
yeah, so that's
just
so Ria, have you told us enough about things? Is there anything else you want to ask us?
Um, not necessarily ask, but um what is it
Or tell us about?
when I was talking to Marcia, my dissertation supervisor, she does a lot of work in Wales about with museums about like portraying like reparative history and like for museums and like heritage sites to like like to accurately represent colonial history within their institutions and stuff. And Marcia asked if I can pass along her contact details, and I checked with my supervisor, and she said she'd love to pass her details along. So to Black Heritage Walks or to you guys as or to I don't know what your organization is. Sorry, are you just individuals who meet or?
No, we're a community interest company called um, Learning Links International CIC. That's the organisation that
Oh, okay.
organises Black History Conversations. This is
Oh,
just
okay.
one of a range of activities that we do. We also do these Jamaican links with Jamaica and Wales, exchange links at the moment with Welsh Government funding, and we do different projects. We did a project about this Welsh plains, the cloth. So it's basically whatever we're interested in, and we're lucky to get funding for that we
Oh, okay.
look at. But through
Amazing.
Black History Conversations, other things have materialized, and um, with Vivian Crawford and Jackie. Simon doesn't join in with this, but we meet up on a Thursday at the same time, and we called Jamaica Wales Alliance. And we then look at links between Jamaica and Wales. So you might be interested to link in with that, but we tend to focus mainly on the links between Gwynedd and Clarendon because that's where we've got a civic link going and
Yeah.
we look at the histories there. But we're setting up a historical society in Clarendon so that we can better share the information that's held in Bangor University archives. They've got all the plantation papers of the Pennant family, an
Oh, okay.
incredible collection. So we're looking at names and things.
just a
Can I,
quick comment, if sorry.
sorry, Jackie, yes, you go next.
So yeah, just for Rhea, couple things. First of all, I do recognize that when you have a physical presence somewhere, it's totally different from looking down on something or when you immerse yourself in the walk itself. There's
Yeah.
a whole nother level of interaction that you get that you don't get from. So I think that's excellent what you're doing. I am interested in heritage walks in
Oh, fab.
Jamaica. Yeah, and because especially, not being born in Jamaica, but of Jamaican parentage, and having a lot of family members who really don't know Jamaica, for us to go and have that presence and not the tourist presence, but the presence in the spaces that our families were, is important to me. So, other
Oh,
question
that's
for you.
beautiful.
Another question for you, a thought I had on what you're studying, ethnography. Okay, so um, I can see where there are two ends of that. It's a dichotomy because on the one space you've got groups coming in, movement of people, right? And
Yeah.
then you have entrenched people who have been claiming the space as their own, not
Yeah.
accepting the connections. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost if as if you have the group that are, we want recognition, we were here, we've come, and then you've got the group that, no, this is ours. So it's like almost like you're kind of having to bridge these two gaps. It's
Yeah.
like the indigenous people and the ones who colonized, who want to, claim it as their own. So that's kind of interesting. And then what was the other thing? Okay, yeah, the acceptance of connection. I think that's an issue that we're having with people not wanting to accept what happened. I guess it's the same thing as what Vivian called, the carpet, coming up, looking under the carpet,
Yeah.
but it being a multi-layered carpet because there were so many layers to this, so those are my thoughts.
Yeah, because I like in West Wales they have a really heavy tourist focus. And it is causing quite a lot of problems there that I'm going to be talking about in my diss. But they have all these activities, for tourists, but they're just not really revealing like a true like a accurate representation of like a full history of these places. Like I'm sure you've heard of Picton, and like Picton's castle in West Wales. He was like a governor in Trinidad. He did some like horrific things. But that's not mentioned. I didn't go to the castle. I didn't go to that part of West Wales, but it's just there's no mention of it in any of the advertising leaflets. It's just like, oh, fun day out, like beautiful gardens, go visit. And it's just, oh, it's a historical site, but there's no mention of who Picton was or a lot of the harm that he did, and it's just not very reparative, I guess. But yeah, there's such a hidden history, and like when I was just trying to find information online about, maritime history or just colonialist history in West Wales, it was so hard to find anything, to be honest. But I'm so glad I reached out to Marcia because she gave me loads of really useful information and sources to read and stuff. So yeah.
Yes, I think it's really interesting. I just looked up Thomas Picton on the on Zoom to see, and yes, it's a story that in Wales we've in North Wales we've focused on three Black history stories. The African Institute in Colwyn Bay, which is fascinating, because it's about a British missionary went to the Congo and decided after seeing other British missionaries die out there that it was better to bring the Africans over to Colwyn Bay, um, to study and to learn, than to try and send missionaries out to Africa. So that was an interesting story. And then we've also, this is just us learning Links International. We've also focused on the Welsh Plains story, and we've focused on Penrhyn Castle. Now, those are only three of a multitude of other stories that, and when you're walking, you're actually getting very closely into communities in a way that wider research. Say I talk about what we did on Welsh Plains, and we only really skimmed over the surface. And it wasn't until we went to one town and there was a man there who knew of his family history as weavers and where the cottages had been, and he took us and
Talked you
showed
through it, like.
us where these cottages had been. And and the thing about walking is that you're looking in real detail. Now, stick a pin in all of that. A few weeks ago, September time it was, beginning of October, we had a lady from the National Archives on joining us. Now, what the National Archives are trying to do is to kind of develop almost like a map of Britain with a, and find out where there are groups who are looking at the specific Black history of their particular area. So we had some ladies join us who were from Devon, and they'd really done a whole heap of work in Devon about the links with the colonialisation and the slave trade. Um, and so what you're doing is a really, such a fine, close examination through this ethnography
Yes,
approach.
well done. You got it. You got it.
So it's just fascinating. So it's all kind of linking in a bit at a time. Do you see how I'm making the connections?
Yeah.
So it's just brilliant to hear what you're doing. So how far are you on now with this dissertation
Oh,
and
that's the question. Well, I did my research over the summer, so I feel quite jammy with that because, yeah, I got that bit out of the way.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm still on my literature review right now, so that's not very good of me. So over Christmas, I need to get moving with it basically. But I've got my findings and some of my analysis and stuff, so I just need to do the actual writing, you know. But yeah.
I've got the copy of the other book I referred to earlier, which is the other Geraint Jenkins. You have to laugh because this book as well has got like 101 bits of
Wow. Oh my
after
God.
it because we were trying to find this bit and that bit. And I'm sure this has got something about because this is called The Welsh Woolen Industry by J. Geraint Jenkins. National Museum of Wales.
Right, that.
And it might be worth getting this out and having a look at what the history of the woolen industry is in that coastal area because Wales, there's so many jokes about Wales and sheep, but the woolen industry was a huge industry in Wales, and it gets treated like a joke now, and so it would be worth having a look at this and see if there's anything because this also does the same sort of geographic um, roam around Wales. I'm just trying to see. There's a lot on Mid Wales. But I'm sure there may be something there, and that may be another element. Um, and you're quite right that the early transport would have been around the coast and between countries like Ireland, um, because it was so difficult to travel on land
Yeah.
in those early days. The tracks would have been muddy and awful and dreadful. So there's more likely to have been more communication along the Welsh coast um and the Devon coast and Cornish coast and Ireland than there would have been. That's really interesting. All right, we've got somebody else coming to join us now. I don't know who this is, so somebody from Jamaica. Okay, so they'll join us in a moment. So yes, it's been really, really interesting, Ria. I hope you didn't mind that I invited you to have the conversation here, but I think the conversation's been better having more of us here to comment, even though I've
Yeah.
been.
I wasn't expecting it. I was a bit nervous. I thought it was tomorrow as well. And then I looked at my email earlier. I was like, oh no, but I've actually enjoyed it so much. So it's nice to
Oh,
like share what I'm doing with some people. Like I'm actually really loving like doing this project. So it's nice to have a chat about it. And like you guys, you've helped me out so much with it as well.
oh, lovely. Well, I'm hoping that I don't know what's happened to this person. I have a little window that comes up and tells me if somebody's trying to come in on the conversation. And I admitted them and they haven't appeared, so we'll see. Um, right. So next, we're just celebrating 5 years. We've been doing this for 5 years. every Friday for 5 years. You can't believe it, can you?
Definitely.
Many interesting conversations, and we want to go back to people like yourself who came and told us about their research, but we've never invited them back again to to find out more. So and how they got on. So we're going to do more along those lines, but also to look at some of the wonderful range of books there are now about Black history that people might be interested to know about if they haven't come across it in another field. So we're trying to organise ourselves a bit better. The last season, and I'm recording this, so if people are listening, last season has been a bit chaotic, to put it mildly, because we
Nice.
were trying to manage this exchange visits to Jamaica at the same time and ending up with all kinds of issues and challenges. So, but it is about understanding our history, and what you're doing is absolutely fascinating.
Oh, thank you. It,
I,
it is so interesting. Like there's so much history just embedded within places, you know. If you know what to look for, there's like so many little markers that are just so interesting. Like I'm so like it's I really like what you showed me about place names in Jamaica because like I'm so interested in like the etymology of words and how like certain places came like a lot of what I'm doing in West Wales is like looking at, oh well, how did this place get this name? Like why do some places in Pembrokeshire have English names? Why do they have Welsh names? Why do some sound Nordic? You know, I love like etymology of language and stuff like that. So it's really interesting, like that link in Jamaica as well.
are you fortunate enough to be a Welsh speaker?
Teen Track Mike?
Uh, dwi dysgu Cymraeg.
Oh, Abby, dwi'n dysgu.
Yes.
Yeah, dwi ddim yn
My
siarad
dad,
Cymraeg yn rugl.
my dad was Welsh from Manor Bridge, and he spoke Welsh before he went to school, and then had to learn English.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
in mm, you know, was as I was growing up, it wasn't considered, important or relevant to learn Welsh, and still to this day, if you were over the border into England, you'd know that wouldn't dream of learning Welsh if you were in
Yeah.
England, and yet, it's a perfectly proper, sensible language that you have to have the qualification to get a number of jobs in Wales these days.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
there is a lot more interest for it, to be honest. It was actually I'll tell you a little story quickly that's going in my dissertation actually. Oh wait, actually no, I don't know if I can tell you because of ethics. I might maybe not.
All right.
Because it has to be like like I don't know, it has to be anonymous. So yeah,
All
never
right.
mind.
Yeah, well, fine. Seeing as we're recording, we won't hold
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Right, Vivian, then,
And
before
I
we
just
wrap
want to
up
say,
then.
seek your permission to be excused.
Okay,
Um,
so we're all
and
wrapping up now.
and yes, and to thank Rhea most sincerely. She just invoked my curiosity and inquiring mind about her presentation. And
No, thank
thank
you
you
for
most
having me.
sincerely. And dearest, I swear Jackie was born in Jamaica, I can't believe that this morning I am hearing that Jackie was born in Jamaica.
No, sorry, Vivian.
Jackie.
I was born at Kennington Hospital,
In England?
Kennington, Lambeth.
I
In
know
England.
Kennington. On
Yes.
my way from Fountain Heath down into London, I passed Kennington.
Yeah, that's where I was born.
Oh my God. And oh my heavens. And then Simon is ever faithful, ever sure. And I would thank you all very, 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 very much. But I have another matter that I have to
Okay, well,
attend
I'm
to.
going to formally stop the recording now.
Yes,
Thank
thank you
you,
then,
everybody.
Liz.
Thank you.
God
And
bless you,
if you
Liz.
want